From the Russ Center for Media in downtown Cape Girardeau, welcome to Focus on Southeast, a program on issues, events, and people impacting Southeast Missouri State University. I'm Dan Woods with KRCU Public Radio. Later on today's show, we will talk with Melissa Holmes to learn more about the Charles Hutson Greenhouse. But first, the Department of Nursing at SEMO has been preparing nurses since 1958 with state-of-the-art assessment, skills, and simulation labs. Graduates are ready to do the job and take on tomorrow's health challenges today. Dr. Moretta Burk is the interim chair of nursing here at SEMO, and she is here to tell us more about the nursing program. Moretta, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so give us an overview of the nursing program here at SEMO.
So as you said, we've been committed to producing competent nursing professionals since 1958, and we have 3 tracks currently. We have the Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree, and we have the RN to BSN pathway, and we also have the Master of Science Nursing degree in Family Nurse Practitioner.
So give us a little bit of an idea of each of those and kind of what they look like, the differences between the 3.
So with our BSN, or our Bachelor's of Science in Nursing degree, that is going to be for our traditional or non-traditional students, and typically they will complete 120 hours for this nursing degree. Upon completion of that degree, they will complete what is called the NCLEX exam, which is the state examination for licensure. And with the RN to BSN program, this is for those individuals who have an associate's degree in nursing, and they will be completing classes to get their bachelor's, whether it's by choice or by career.
And the master's program, it's a 2-year, I think you told me. Tell us about that, and then that can move into family nurse practitioner. Talk about that a little bit.
Correct. So with the Family Nurse Practitioner, our master's program, that is for our nurses who have completed their Bachelor's of Science in Nursing and are looking for that advanced practice nursing role. And so for our program, it is roughly about 2 years, and they work side by side with nurse practitioners in the area to get the education and knowledge that they need so they can be competent nurse practitioners.
When I was looking through the website, I noticed there are several partners that the nursing department works with to put, I guess, students in the field, if you will.
Yes.
A long list of people that you work with.
Absolutely. And we could not be successful in this program without each one of them.
I think you told me, too, that for the master's program, a 100% pass rate, so that's pretty amazing, and you have to be proud of that.
Absolutely. We are very proud of our success. Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that students do and some of the things they will learn while they're going through the program. And there's several we can go through, but let's start with maybe the simulation center.
Absolutely. So with our simulation center, it really is state of the art, and we have wonderful different mannequins that are available to us. We have things that are high fidelity mannequins where we can practice CPR, injections. We can have the mannequin on the ventilator. It can simulate like a high acuity ICU patient, all the way to our low fidelity mannequins, which we can do blood pressures, dressing changes, things like that.
So on these high fidelity mannequins, is this where they learn how to where to put the needle in the vein so we don't feel that, boy, some of us just don't like needles. So that's probably part of that, right?
Absolutely, yes.
That's a very important skill.
We practice a lot.
That's a good thing because none of us like needles.
No.
So tell us about the difference between, there's registered nurses, there's LPNs, there's all these different acronyms. Kind of give us a little bit of an idea of what, when we hear those acronyms and those, what those mean.
So there's many different levels of nursing. We have the LPN, which is our licensed practical nurse. Then we have the associate's prepared nurse, and we have the bachelor's prepared nurse, which is the programs that we provide, as well as the advanced practice nurse, which there's many different avenues that one could take for education for the advanced practice nurse. The track that we offer is going to be the family nurse practitioner, and then there's a PhD in nursing as well as the doctorate in nursing practice.
There's a lot of family nurse practitioners in the area, so
Yes.
I'm sure probably a lot of the graduates from this program, I would guess.
Absolutely. And they are wonderful as far as being mentors and preceptors for our students going through the family nurse practitioner track.
Let's talk about the demand for nurses. I would imagine this is a field where we need more.
Absolutely, yes.
Talk about what that looks like for the next several years.
So with the shortage that we have of nurses, with our bachelor's prepared nurses, they're getting multiple job offers, and our graduates are actually sought after. And with our recent December graduates, a lot of them had 2, 3, 4 job offers, and these job offers were wonderful opportunities for them, and they were in a position where they really couldn't make a bad choice.
That's a nice position to be in, where you have multiple offers after
Absolutely.
you graduate. Give us an idea of the sense of the size of the program. How many faculty, how many students are in the program right now, kind of the scope?
So right now we have 15 full-time faculty, and with our programs we have about 140 undergraduate students. We have about 30 in the RN to BSN program and about 20 in our FNP program.
Is that pretty much the number is that the average that around where it usually is? Is it high, is it low compared to previous years?
It's about average.
Yeah, room for growth.
Absolutely. We're always looking for ways to grow.
What are some things that you hear from students who go through the program when you hear the stories of the experience, and what things are students telling you?
They really enjoy the hands-on experience that they get. Of course, we start in our simulation lab for very first semester, where they get to practice their skills before they go into the hospital setting with patients. But they have a lot of opportunities to practice their skills and really get into their critical thinking. And whenever they graduate, they're prepared.
You told me that each semester builds on the next.
Correct.
So how does that work? So I guess you start, is it just a gradual progression of the skill set that's required that you move through?
Absolutely, and we build on the knowledge set as well. We have to have a solid foundation before we can get into the abstract critical thinking that comes with nursing.
What are some of the challenges facing nursing right now?
Ooh, we have a lot of challenges. Not sure I want to go into that one, to be honest with you.
Too many? Okay. Let's talk about just dreams that you have for the department.
So my dreams for the department is continued growth. Right now we're under a big curriculum revision, and that's to meet the needs for not just today, but for nursing tomorrow. And as you know, with the advancements with, say, artificial intelligence, AI, that's becoming a big player in the healthcare industry. And so we want to not only meet that need, but exceed the expectations.
Yeah. So there's a lot of exciting things happening. Talk about the State Board of Nursing. We talked about that a little. When we have guests on the show, we always talk about accreditation. You have a little bit of a different setup. Talk about that a little bit.
So we have full approval from the Missouri State Board of Nursing, and that our approval is set through 2028, and that is every 5 years we go for approval with the State Board of Nursing.
And are those like site visits from evaluators like this regular process would be?
Yes.
And it's probably ongoing, as I've learned from interviewing other folks.
Absolutely. We have an annual report that we complete every year, so it's not just a once a 5 years and then we don't see them again type thing, but we're always in constant communication with our board.
Yeah. And talk about, do you have like a local advisory board, if you will, of other professionals, maybe just in the area that you all work with and collaborate with? And
absolutely.
Talk about that a little,
and we're looking to expand on our advisory board in the nursing department as well. So many of our stakeholders will be getting a phone call or an email from us soon.
And what happens at those meetings? What kind of things do you discuss? Are you talking about area employers and things that are needed? And
yes, as well as our clinical agencies. And so what we're looking for is making sure that our graduates are not only meeting the needs that they have in their facilities and within our community, but we're also beating those needs. And so we want to make sure that I lost my thought. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Might have to edit that on out. We'll start over. So in our advisory meetings, what we do is we have our stakeholders come together, and we have conversations as far as what we're doing with education in the classroom and in our simulation lab, and what we see in the clinical settings, as well as what they're seeing in the clinical settings and what they're seeing with our recent graduates.
Yeah, I'm sure there's many areas that you have to kind of keep an eye on the academic side, on the practical side, with the corporate coinciding with the hospitals are doing, what some of the clinics are doing in the area.
Yes.
And the service area, as you know, for the university is pretty large. So there's a lot of impactful areas that you all can reach out to and get guidance from and maybe support as well.
Absolutely. And as I said, we could not do this without the support of our clinical agencies.
So for folks who are watching, maybe parents with their students who are looking to go to school, what would you tell them about the nursing program to have them come look into it and find out more about it?
Please reach out and come give us a tour and reach out with any questions that you have. As Dan said, we've been here since 1958. We are not going anywhere, and we're very excited for the future.
Moretta, it's been very good to visit with you. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
We're
Thank you.
going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Melissa Holmes from the Charles Hutson Greenhouse. You're watching Focus on Southeast. We'll be right back.
Losing the fear of looking foolish comes with age.
Who did you steal him from?
Losing your way in your own home doesn't. Confusion with time and place may be a sign of Alzheimer's.
Mom, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine.
Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's.
Welcome back to Focus on Southeast. The Charles Hutson Greenhouse is the largest student-run production greenhouse in the country. The facility teaches student entrepreneurship through plant production, retail sales, and experiential learning with hands-on classes. Melissa Holmes is the greenhouse manager. She's here with us. This is our green segment for the show. Hey there, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Good. It's good to see you. So tell us about the greenhouse. We know a lot of folks in the area may not realize this resource is here for them.
So the greenhouses were built originally in 2004. I was actually one of the first students to actually work there as a student worker because I actually went to SEMO and graduated with a horticulture degree. It was actually in replacement of the old greenhouses that used to be in Pig Lot, right by the Show Me Center.
Okay, there were greenhouses. Oh, I remember that from way back.
Yes,
okay.
way back then.
I'm with you now.
So this is a much, of course, more state-of-the-art greenhouse compared to the older greenhouses. We currently have 3 greenhouses that are approximately 4,000 square feet. So we have about 12,000 square feet under glass.
Okay.
And we grow anywhere from annuals, perennials, herbs, vegetables, tropicals, houseplants, mums, and shrubs. So we grow a little bit of everything.
So on the square footage, is that typical size, large, small?
I would say that's considered to be a larger greenhouse compared to other greenhouses.
Yeah, which is a good thing.
Which is a good thing.
You brought some video along that we're going to show here in just a second, so folks can kind of take a tour, I guess, of the greenhouse. We'll kind of have you walk us through that. So it's the largest student production greenhouse in the country. That's pretty significant.
We say largest not because of square footage, but because we're actually a full retail store open all year. See, that's the trick.
Yeah. So here's our video. So you want to talk us through a little bit of this, Melissa.
So this is actually in the very back side of House 1. House 1 is our seasonal house where we grow everything for the season.
Okay.
So this is, of course, and there's our pest manager right there,
Jean-Luc.
Captain Jean-Luc Picard. He takes care of course, all the pest issues.
That's great.
But yes, so you'll be seeing a lot of, these are more what they're called starter plants. So this is probably late March, I would say, of, I believe, last year. Our greenhouses currently are starting to look like this now.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of bedding plants. Those are geraniums right there. The benches actually roll back and forth. I know it doesn't kind of look like that in the video now, but you have about an 18-inch space in between.
Okay.
That's how you get to the plants in the very back. The second greenhouse, which is actually on the left-hand side, well, now you're looking outside, is actually our houseplants house. That's designed more for the houseplants because it's the interior house, so it stays warmer in the winter and cooler in the summer. But lots of bedding plants, of course, lots of pretty flowers.
It looks like a large, I mean, just from watching the video, it looks huge.
It's about 100 feet long and about 30 feet wide. So it is a decent sized house. Yeah, pansies. Oh, black pansies. I always try to get some black flowers in for
Oh,
SEMO.
there you go.
We're very popular for our black petunias.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And the flowers that we grow, or plants that we grow, are more on the rare side and a little harder to find. So we're not going to just grow any old plant. We're going to grow things that you can't find in other retail stores.
That's a strategy, I'm guessing, to do
It
it that
is.
way.
Yes.
See, I wouldn't have known that. You told me that Proven Winter. Talk about Proven Winter, because that's one of the...
Yeah, so Proven Winter is the #1 plant brand of the country. And it's #1 because of the amount of trials and testing that they've done on their plants.
Okay.
So it makes the average homeowner a very successful plant grower.
Yeah, but you're the only one in Cape
We are the only ones in Cape County and only 2 in the entire Southeast region that is actually certified through the company, where we take extra steps on doing training to actually get to know the product and that kind of thing.
So let's talk about what some of the students do. It's a full retail, open all year round. So talk about how it operates, I guess.
So, of course, you could come in and buy a plant, but the students are going to learn from how to grow a plant from a seed all the way up to what they call a finished product. And the finished product is what the customer is going to end up buying in the end.
And so they're making the sales, and I guess they're talking to customers about?
Yes, so they're getting all of the retail experience with customers, as well as actually the production side of actually growing the plants too.
And how many students work
I
out
currently have 5. I've had up to 7 before, so it changes every semester because students graduate, new students come in.
And they're staying pretty busy, I would imagine, too. Not just
yes.
beyond the sales part, they're probably watering and...
Oh,
right?
yes. Watering is #1. Of course, then it's uppotting, propagating, just helping with the customers. So, yes, it's very involved. And it changes from seasons. Right now, of course, it's spring. But here, coming up in May, we'll be getting our mum plugs in. And there'll be over 4,000 mum plugs that will be coming in. So that will be growing over the summertime for sales for the fall.
And, of course, I don't have a green thumb at all. But when you say mum plug, I guess that's like this...
Oh, so that's a little baby mum.
A little baby mum is a mum
about
plug?
the size of my pinky.
Okay.
One plant will grow about this size in about 3 months. It's crazy.
You sell a lot of mums, I think.
Oh
you
yeah,
told me,
we're
right?
very popular with the mums. Yes.
Which is a really nice thing. There's other things that you do that I'm wondering people may not realize. Soil. You sell soil.
We do. We actually make our own soil. It's potting mix. It's a peat moss base. It is peat moss, perlite, a wetting agent, a biofungicide, and rice hulls. So it's just 5 ingredients. And we have a wonderful soil mixer that they happened to get after I graduated. Before, when I was a student, I had to actually hand mix all the soil. But now we have a wonderful soil mixer, so we just put all the stuff in it and then mix it. And then we sell it by bags, or you could actually bring in your own container and we could sell it by bulk. We also sell our own compost. We actually make our own compost too.
Really?
So the compost comes from not only the plant material from the greenhouse that maybe quite didn't make it, but we also go around to Towers and Starbucks and actually get all the food waste and coffee grounds and actually make compost.
Really? What's the advantage of buying soil that's made? I mean, is it a higher quality than maybe in a store? What's the difference?
I would say it's more fresh because what you find in the store, you don't know when that was manufactured or how long that was stored in storage. And there's some components to potting mix, like wetting agent and a biofungicide, that has a very limited shelf life. And so if it was made 10 years ago, stored in a warehouse, by the time you buy it, then it may not be as effective or as good as literally buying fresh soil. So.
You can watch it made right in front of you.
Yes.
Landscape design.
Yes.
Do that too.
A little bit, yeah. Customers will come in with, as long as they have measurements and I know what direction that faces, they could come in and we could actually do a design for them.
Talk about the difference. Okay, so you were a student there back in 2004 or whatever. How have things changed since you were a student and now that you're running the greenhouse? What's the differences? I'm curious.
Well, I would say the product has changed a bit, because when I was a student, the product was there's a lot less product. So there was more of your standard plants and not some of these kind of weird, kind of rare, oddball kind of plants that I kind of like.
Okay.
We also now have collections too.
Okay, tell us about that.
So we have an extensive orchid collection. So we have a lot of different orchids. Some of them are flowering right now. The other very interesting collection that we have is called the Amorphophallus collection. The Amorphophallus is actually a corpse flower.
Oh, I've heard about
Give
the
your
corpse
herd-
fly.
yes. So we have about 26 species, which actually makes us one of the largest in the state for the collection.
Really?
As they're very kind of rare, you don't normally find them very often. And we've had some that have actually flowered. Then we made the news, and it's been on the, on TV and everything.
Talk
too.
about that. I remember that. Tell us, because that was where it happens at a certain time, and you have to be there when it happens. It's a timing thing too, a little bit.
It
with
is,
right?
yeah. So the first one that actually ever flowered was actually taller than me. So it was more than I am tall for a plant, but short for a human. So taller than me, a little over 12 or 5 feet. It only actually flowered for about 3 days. It only smelled for about 2 days. So, and when it smells, of course, there's the name why they name it a corpse flowers, because it does smell like something has died.
Yeah, it's not one of those you really want to.
No, they're very interesting plants, and the reason why they smell like that is for pollination purposes. It's because they want to get the beetles and the flies to come in to pollinate instead of the really pretty butterflies and bees. So it's all for about pollination.
So they want the pollinators that like stinky stuff.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
They're fascinating.
That's very interesting.
Yes.
Do people come in and ask about those quite a bit?
Sometimes, yeah.
And what was the word? What was the word?
Amorphophallus, and that's the scientific word.
That's our new word for the day, is amorphophallus. That's what we've learned today. Corpse flower, if you don't want to remember the big word. We've got a plant here that's kind of behind us here. You talk about that and the significance of this plant here.
Yeah, so this plant is actually one of our centerpieces that we've created. Centerpieces, we actually do a plant rental program, so you can actually rent plants. So we do a lot of events for SEMO, of course.
You're right.
MLK dinner, the President's Council dinner, et cetera.
Yeah.
But we've also done weddings and open houses, and so yeah, just anybody could come in and actually rent a plant if you choose. So.
Do you find that a lot of folks don't realize what you all have and what you all do? I mean, marketing sometimes may be a bit of a challenge,
Marketing
right?
is a little bit of a challenge, and so is the weather, because the weather plays a huge part in how a plant develops. But yeah, I would say marketing, and we're not necessarily located. We're located in a great location for a greenhouse, but not necessarily a great location for retail store, because we're kind of off of Bertling, and not too many people really go down that street so much. So
Yeah.
So GPS doesn't even know where we're at. If you type in, it takes you to the four-way stop by the tennis courts, but not necessarily up to the greenhouse.
All right, to the greenhouse.
Yeah.
What kind of experience do students, I mean, what do they tell you about helping at the greenhouse? I mean, do they really feel like this helps them with what they want to do graduating?
Absolutely, because they get on the hands-on experiential learning, and so they're already learning how to sow, to propagate, to do other things. To be ready for their next step of their horticulture career.
Yeah, so. And it's not always, I know you're in the ag department, but it's not always ag students that are working with you, right?
Most of them are ag students, but you don't have to be an ag student to work there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, what are some of the more unique, I guess, questions that the public have come in and asked? What are some things they're like, wow, that's a real good question, or that no one's ever asked that before? What are some things that, dealing with the public and retail, there's always interesting things that happen sometimes?
Well, let's see.
Or have you been stumped? Have you ever asked you a question like, we're going to have to dig into that and find out?
There's been a couple, like plant IDs, so plant would come in that I would have to actually figure out what that is.
Yeah.
So sometimes I get stumped on a plant ID.
Yeah.
But other than that, not too much, I guess, as far as yeah.
How often do people walk in and say, I didn't realize you all were here, and you look at all of these things that you have? How often does that happen?
Often.
And that goes back to the marketing piece.
That goes back to the marketing piece.
Yeah,
yes.
I guess. So how do you fit into the ag department as far as, I mean, do you teach a class too, or do you help on the faculty side? How does that work?
Not so much. I have taught a class in the past, but I'm there really to help, I guess, teach my job basically to students as far as the plant production side of it in retail.
Yeah.
So it's a different type of teaching, I guess.
So we've got a couple of minutes here, but before we go, I have to ask about Jean-Luc. So what does Jean-Luc do?
Well, he's our pest manager.
Okay, what does that entail for him?
That entails that we no longer have mice issues. But he also catches a lot of other things that he likes to bring my attention to, too.
So who named Who named him?
That was me because I'm a little bit of a Trekkie, so Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah, me too. So when she told me Jean-Luc, I got really excited.
Well, and so I caught him as a kitten. I was 5 weeks old, and
Okay.
he was feral, and he had 2 other siblings. And
Yeah.
so we did have Counselor Deanna Troy and Lieutenant William Riker as
Are you
well.
serious?
But we found homes for the other 2 and decided to keep Jean-Luc. But Jean-Luc, I named Jean-Luc because he had to be the captain of the cats. For him to be for the other ones to be tamed, he had to be tamed first. He had to do everything first before the other 2 siblings. So I couldn't think of a better captain's name than Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
You don't know how cool. That's just the coolest thing. I'm just geeking out here because I love Star Trek. We don't get to talk about Star Trek stuff on the show very often, so this has been a really good moment for me. What are some things you have on the horizon for the greenhouse? What are some things that Melissa would like to do or see happen in the next, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years, just down the road?
Well, now that the greenhouse is over 20 years old, is actually now is time to upgrade and replace some of the equipment, some of the aging equipment. So that's my kind of, that's what I'm hoping to get accomplished here soon.
Yeah.
Is to actually get some new equipment coming in.
Would that be fundraising you would have to do, or some of your, because I know you try to raise money with your operations, would it
Yes.
maybe put some money back?
We have also received a substantial donation
Yeah.
to help kind of pay for some of those upgrades.
And I would imagine some of the equipment is probably pretty expensive. I don't know if there's ventilation, I don't know what kind of systems you have, but I would imagine it's not something that's...
Oh, it's definitely not inexpensive. Anything greenhouse or plant related is always more expensive.
Yeah. All right, before we go, so tell our viewers and listeners where you're at, what hours you're open, and anything else they might need to know.
So the address is 1039 Bertling Street, so it's right next to the track of SEMO. The phone number is 573-651-2316. Hours of operation currently are Monday through Friday 9 to 4, but that will change in April next month. It'll be 9 to 5, and then Saturdays 9 to noon.
Melissa, it's been so good to visit with
good
you.
to- yes.
Thanks for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Focus on Southeast is a collaboration of KRCU Public Radio and the Department of Mass Media at Southeast Missouri State University. Just a reminder that portions of these conversations will be broadcast on KRCU Public Radio and will be available online at krcu.org and on the station's YouTube channel. From the Russ Center for Media, I'm Dan Woods. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when we focus on Southeast.